As today's special bonus episode of Playing Above the Line is being recorded and released in real time, the world is facing some unprecedented challenges as it relates to the spread of COVID-19, which is also known as coronavirus. Welcome to Playing Above the Line, where we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, and community activists to get their thoughts and perspectives on leadership. Playing Above the Line is sponsored by Aviso Group, a business consulting and accounting firm focused on preparing clients for the future through innovation and positive growth. Welcome to another special COVID-19 edition of Playing Above the Line. I'm Alan, your host, and got a familiar face in the, actually not in the studio today. We're on location at the offices of Aviso Group in Fairhope, Alabama, but my co-host, Dennis Sherrin, is back. Dennis, welcome.
The face for podcasting and radio.
That's right. So, but it's good to have you back. I know that you took some time off when you were on sabbatical and to do some other things, but it's good to have you behind the mic again. So,
yep, looking forward to having a few chats here.
Yeah,
some good stuff.
Well, look, I mean, so let's just get right to the chase. I mean, right now we are in uncharted territory in that we're all dealing. I don't care if you're an individual, business, not for profit, whoever. We're all dealing with this crisis, financial and health crisis that's been kind of brought upon us by COVID-19. Mm-hmm. And so as advisors, we're trying to help our clients navigate those waters. So let's just start with a business. So I'm a business. Either my operations have been shut down, partially shut down. Maybe I'm still going. But, I mean, what do I need to be thinking about and doing right now as a business owner to take advantage of some of these stimulus packages that have been passed by Congress?
The simple thing is there is something out there for basically every business. The government realizes they have to do some things to prop up the economy, and so they're taking some significant measures to benefit everybody. And so small businesses, which is mainly what Aviso Group serves, have some really good programs. The first and foremost that everyone is hearing about is called the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, which is to try to maintain employment within the country, because that's a key component. We're basically shutting down and not working. People aren't working. And so we risk that a lot of domino effects could happen if we don't find some way to continue trying to get money into the economy. Mm-hmm. So the Paycheck Protection Program is first. There's also economic injury disaster loans through the SBA, more of a traditional program that they have out there. There are a couple of small direct grant. Well, one's a direct grant, $10,000 through SBA in certain situations. And then there's an express loan program that can get you another up to $25,000. These are all for small business. Mm-hmm. And the small business is defined as right now under the CARES Act, which was just put in the law on Friday of what was that, April 1st? No, March 27th or something like that. Mm-hmm. Specifies that a small business is basically any business organization that has 500 or less than 500 employees. Mm-hmm. It's a significant portion of the country's business operations. And so we've got those kind of incentives in place. There's also some other business incentives to, again, help you retain your employees and keep them working somehow, or at least compensate them through some significant payroll tax credits for businesses as well. And those programs are moving very fast to be implemented, faster than you normally think, folks, when it comes to government.
Yeah, right.
We have seen a lot of frantic activity in a very few days since the CARES Act was passed, and since the instructions came out, particularly for the Paycheck Protection Program. And so it's at the same time, I sort of call this whole thing going on right now. I've used a couple of different terms. With Carrie, I've used one called the chaos of the coronavirus, because it really all goes back to the health aspects. And the other part with the SBA loan programs that are out there, it's the Wild West, because instructions are being produced overnight, and everyone's trying to interpret them and trying to make sure we're helping our businesses be able to adequately provide information that the bankers need. Mm-hmm. And it's your local banker more than likely that you'll be able to go to put in an application for these loans.
Well, and the bottom line is really that you do need to get a professional involved, whether it's your CPA, your banker, or both, probably, because these things are hard for sometimes us to navigate as professionals. But I mean, just as a layperson out there that's not familiar with how the IRS and Department of Labor and that kind of thing works, it's tough to navigate those waters, right?
Oh yeah. No doubt. And you know it well, spending a lot of time in the world with the IRS and how regulations can be interpreted. Mm-hmm. And, I think you can probably say you've been reading some of this stuff in the Act too. And we read some of these things and we say, okay, how are they going to really interpret this?
Yeah. So the key then, I would say, if what I'm taking away from what you're saying is, if you're a small business owner, a small business is anyone with right now with less than 500 employees, step number one is reach out to your advisors.
Absolutely.
And then they will kind of walk you through those processes and those options that you have out there to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's take the loan programs and talk about those first, because those are at the forefront right now, obviously. And I spent the last weekend, right after the act came out, basically studying the Paycheck Protection Program, because I know that that's what a lot of our small business clients, and I actually also need to do a caveat on that, and also charitable organizations, 501c3 charitable organizations are eligible for these Paycheck Protection Program loans as well. But there's a lot of potential complexity in determining how much you can receive or borrow under this Paycheck Protection Program. And that's really where that professional can come in and help you. And that's to me is a big part of it. Not to mention, you might want to discuss this, is the ultimate forgiveness of a portion, if not all, of the loan that you receive under the Paycheck Protection Program.
Just a little more detail for the PPP. The maximum loan amount is a formula, and so it's based on what?
Yeah, so you'll hear it, and I've seen it a lot, and I get that the information is varying, but it's average monthly payroll cost, and that's possibly not just what you're paying your employees every month. Mm-hmm. There's a number of components to it. So obviously one of them is your gross payroll for your employees. Another one is state and local taxes related to employment, like unemployment taxes. Mm-hmm. Another is the provision for health benefits, and I emphasize provision. What that means is anything related to providing health benefits to your employees. That can be your health insurance premiums. It also could be other premiums like AFLAC, if you have AFLAC, maybe the cost to administrate your cafeteria Section 125 plan. It can be if you pay for your employees to have annual physicals. Those kind of costs all count as provision of health benefits. So it's not just one number. And that's going to be a big factor. It also includes retirement, the benefits for retirement. Mm-hmm. And so that's, say, your matching the company's matching contributions, employer contributions to the retirement plan. But also, let's say you're a particularly professional organization, you might have former business partners, former business associates that you're paying out a retirement payment to them, a deferred compensation payment to them. That is also a retirement benefit that you can consider in this payroll cost for determining your maximum loan value. That's the complexity of just determining your average monthly payroll cost for a year. And so you're going to have to put all those components together to be able to determine what the maximum loan amount could be under the Paycheck Protection Program. So it's 2.5 times that number.
Yeah. So that's the front end. And then there are provisions in the Act that say if you, 8 weeks from the day that the loan closes, if you spend those loan proceeds primarily on salaries and wages, payroll, that kind of thing, that portion that you spend in that first 8 weeks is then forgiven, correct?
That's right. So the neat part of that, you're exactly right, Alan. So over that, you're going to have to measure over the 8 weeks after you close the loan, and you're going to have to be very careful with how you spend that money and account for it, and it's spent on specific things. Payroll costs to retain or rehire your employees. Also utilities costs, and utilities includes all the traditional gas, water, sewer, electric, but also telephone and internet. And then the other thing just escaped my mind.
Did you say rent? Mortgage?
Yeah. Rents, leases and rents. And now there's a question I haven't answered on that yet. Does that include the lease rates on personal property like equipment? Mm-hmm. We don't have an answer on that yet. But so that could be potentially part of it too. If you take this 8-week period and you total up all those expenses you paid that fit those criteria, and you have it very well documented that you paid those, and you see how much that is. And let's say your original PPP loan was $400,000. And so you look over that 8-week period and you spent $375,000 on those specific categories of utilities, rents, payroll cost. $375,000 of your loan will be forgiven. This loan forgiveness, it basically turns into a grant from the government. And the other key factor of that is it's not includable and gross taxable income. So it's a tax-free forgiveness of this debt. And then if you have a remaining balance after that, that part of the loan will have to be repaid, and that will be repaid after at least a 6-month deferment of payments, and then they will term it out on a schedule from there.
I mean, that falls under the category of almost sounds too good to be true. I mean, really.
Yes, it does.
And it really is, but I think that's why we've seen such, in our practice anyway, such an onslaught of people wanting to be at the front of the line to apply for this program, because there's a limited pool of money, right?
$350 billion.
Yeah. Sounds like a big number, but over the whole country,
it's going
to go fast. So,
and that's the other part, is the initial application period for businesses is scheduled to start April 3rd. I say a schedule because we never know what will happen overnight. And then sole proprietors and independent contractors are scheduled to be able to apply first on April 10th. So it's 2 waves. And yes, those waves are going to be big. Mm-hmm. We're already seeing that. I'm talking with our local banker friends and working with them. We are seeing a lot of that happen already, that people are submitting. And
yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, I think the moral of the story is contact your advisors, your CPA, your banker. Let them guide you through this process. There's a lot out there that's meant to help businesses. The government's spending money like a bunch of drunk sailors right now, to keep their economy propped up. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but there's a lot out there that folks need to consider. So don't try to navigate these waters on your own, I think is my one big takeaway from this.
I agree. I said we're out there to help, and if we're the agent, if you appoint us as your agent, we can help you and actually help prepare and submit your loan application to your banker or to a bank that you choose. And we're compensated, but we're compensated by the lender, not by you as our client. Yeah. If we are appointed as the agent for you to handle the PPP loan.
Yeah, very good. A lot of good information. Our producer, Carrie, for the podcast is also our social media content director at our firm, and so she has done an awesome job of putting together all sorts of information on all these different programs. And so I would encourage you to go visit our website, avisogroup.com. There's a coronavirus button right at the top of the page where it has all our resources. So please go check that out and see what's out there that can benefit you and your business. Dennis, thanks. This has been very informative.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. It definitely helps us in the ratings, and it also makes it easier for other folks to find the podcast. As always, a big thanks to producer Carrie Wolf and editor Johnny Gwynn. Playing Above the Line is sponsored by Aviso Group. If you want to know more about who we are and what we do, you can visit our website at avisogroup.com. That's AVIZO group.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks for listening.